Open the doors.
Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Hal? Hal! Hal!
Since the first manned spaceflight in 1961, humanity has been driven by a deep curiosity and imagination about the universe. Stanley Kubrick seized upon this collective hallucination of the 1960s, our shared dream of space exploration, and began to envision what space travel might look like in the future. Together with science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke, he conceived a grand fictional documentary set in space, which would become the monumental sci-fi masterpiece, 2001: A Space Odyssey. In 1968, Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey premiered. The film explores existentialism, human evolution, technology, artificial intelligence, and extraterrestrial life, and is praised for its scientific depiction of space travel, groundbreaking special effects, and highly symbolic visual language. How did a milestone sci-fi film that was difficult for audiences to understand transform from a box office disaster into a legendary cinematic IP that has remained influential for 56 years? In 2001, A Space Odyssey was financed by MGM, while director Kubrick retained creative control, including veto power over edited or abridged re-releases, as well as authority over packaging, restored versions, and musical adaptations. Initially marketed as a commercial sci-fi film, it premiered at the Cinerama Theater in Washington, D.C. in 1968. Reactions were polarized. Around 241 people walked out mid-screening. Mainstream critics panned it. The New York Times called it an exercise in icy formalism. Even within MGM, many thought it a catastrophic misjudgment. But amid the LSD wave, psychedelic culture, and campus youth, 2001 was rediscovered. It was no longer a story about the universe, but the ultimate trip into existence. Faced with mainstream failure, MGM and Kubrick revised their strategy, releasing the film in flagship 70mm theaters in cities like New York, San Francisco, and Chicago, deliberately near university campuses to create subcultural incubation points. Marketing shifted boldly to the ultimate trip. This ritualized premiere strategy aligned perfectly with 1968's counterculture, making the film a symbol of those who understand it deserve to see it, the epitome of elitist cinema. Its first global run grossed approximately $56 million, a long-tail miracle. Stanley Kubrick on the meaning of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Its significance does not lie in surface-level silence or mystery, but in dismantling the idea of the director as sole interpreter. In 1974, 2001 was re-released with the slogan, "A film that grows with you," and formally entered academic film curricula, gradually becoming a philosophical cinematic text. In the 1990s, after MGM's rights changed hands, Warner Bros. Acquired global screening and publishing control, jointly managing the film's assets with the Kubrick estate. From then on, 2001 became a model of unified cinematic branding. Not to be arbitrarily edited, not to be mass-marketed, but to attract cult-like viewers through its refusal to explain. In 1999, following Kubrick's death, Warner Bros. Released a digitally restored commemorative edition, alongside The Shining and Barry Lyndon as part of a director retrospective. It became a collector's DVD, selling over 1.5 million copies worldwide, and was inducted into the Criterion Collection as a modern standard in film restoration. In 2018, director Christopher Nolan and Warner released a non-digitally altered 70mm restoration screened at Cannes. Promoted with, not remastered, "This is the film just as 1968 saw it." This became a milestone in the revival of celluloid cinema. Around 90 theaters worldwide held limited screenings, and audiences treated it as an unmissable cinematic ritual. Since 2023, A24X Criterion X MoMA have jointly launched a philosophical sci-fi archive centered on 2001, exploring machine worship, artificial intelligence, and the human existential dilemma. Books, exhibitions, Blu-rays, and collectible merchandise have generated over $50 million in market value. In the streaming era, the film continues to attract interpreter audiences. Its total re-release box office has surpassed $150 million, and Blu-ray sales have exceeded 700,000 units. Kubrick once said, "It's not a message that I ever intended to convey in words." The meaning of the film is not a speakable theme, but a summons, to watch, to interpret, to believe. 2001 does not rely on empathy, but alienation, not on plot, but structure. Its distribution philosophy is the root of modern independent film marketing. Using unreadability to construct a cultural barrier, turning viewers into co-interpreters, and making distribution a time-based, ever-evolving experiment. 56 years later, 2001, A Space Odyssey proves that film distribution is not a one-time transaction. It is a living IP continually misread, reread, and reborn. This is the beginning of postmodern cinema, summoning the most devoted audience through silence that resists comprehension.